Hey, everybody. When I first became a reseller, I was all in, and that included loading up on a bunch of supplies that I actually really didn't need. It turned out that the things that I really needed, I already had, and chances are good that you do too. So, if you're new here, my name is Malika, and I'm a part time reseller, primarily selling women's clothing and accessories on Poshmark, eBay, Macari, and Depop, and I have been reselling for about 4.5 months. So I wanted to share a little bit about the things that I use and the things that I felt like I really needed to resell, and the things that maybe I ran out and got and I didn't really need, but it honestly been nice to have. And then the things that are ultimately my favorites. And so if you are interested in learning more about that, stick with me. And I would also love to hear in the comments anything that you would like to share that have been your favorites or your go-tos in terms of supplies, or maybe things that you also got that you're like, yeah, I didn't really need that. So let's go ahead and get into it. I started reselling 4.5 months ago. I knew very little about reselling. I've shared that in previous videos. And so I just kind of was working with what I had, the very first few things that I listed on Poshmark. And so my first and primary supply that I have used since day one and continue to use every day as a reseller is my cell phone. It is where I take my pictures. It's where, certainly from the beginning, I did all of my listing, and I still do a lot of my listing now. It's also where I just keep track of what's going on and respond to people on platforms, where I am looking to see the status of things, where I make offers. It is my primary resource. I use my computer for sure as well. Like, I cross list from my computer. I will do some of the messaging on my computer, but truly my phone is my primary source because it's with me everywhere. It's the thing I already had, and it's been my most important supply. My second one, and this may surprise some of you, but the second must have supply for me has been this measuring tape. In my pictures, I make sure that I have measurements of everything. I did not do that at first, and I have learned that it is truly just easier to make sure from the beginning you have measured everything, having both pictures and the measurements in the description. And what I like about this, and this was also something we already had, is that this is like construction grade. This is what construction workers use, because this is actually was my husband's, who comes from a construction background, but it's a very thick tape measure. So when it is on the pictures, the numbers are extremely visible. It doesn't look the classiest or whatever, but I can take a picture of the item or the piece without the tape, and then they get another one with this tape measure. And I really feel like that has been helpful because people can see really clearly what they're getting if they order, if they want to order from me. So that's my number two. Again, something I already had. My number three, also something I already had, and was my most helpful supply, was my wall and my floor. I take, I would say 90% of my photos against this very wall. I'm in my living room right now, and this is where I come and take all of my pictures. Because I'm part time, I have limited time. And so what I do is just do all of my pictures on the weekends. On Saturday and Sunday, I come in here in the morning where I have the best lighting, and I take all of my pictures. I have a very discreet pin in the wall that I can take a hanger and hang it right here, hang the clothes on, and get it done. So it's something that really doesn't impact the look of my living room when I'm not using it, but it is super convenient and super easy. And again, things that I already had that to this day are what I do use most of the time. When I don't take pictures here, I do take sometimes on the floor, and I just lay down a white sheet and take the photo on the floor. And it's as simple as that. So those are my one, two, and three primary supplies that I needed in terms of reselling. Once a sale was made, I did need some additional supplies, which are part of what I ran out and got that I didn't necessarily need. because on Poshmark, you can get some of these things for free. So what I did go and get were a lot of different poly mailers like this in different boxes. You don't necessarily have to go get these if you have boxes around your house from maybe orders that you've made. So I would say if you haven't started doing that already, save boxes because you can reuse them. And the other thing that you can do, particularly if you are a reseller on Poshmark, is order supplies from them for free. Poshmark does all of their shipping with the Postal Service, the United States Postal Service, and they have a deal worked out with them where you can order shipping supplies for free from them through Poshmark's website. And now they've made it so you can even do it through the app on your phone. So it's super easy. And you can get different poly mailers like this, which is the padded kind. You can get these larger ones, which are probably the ones that I use the most, this kind. And you can get boxes, a couple of different sizes. This is an example of one that's really good for like shoes. I think this one's about like, it is 15 by 8 by 5-ish size. So definitely order those. It's super easy. They'll send them to your house, and then you just can have that supply on hand, and it doesn't cost you anything. So I still also have a lot of other poly mailers, which is helpful now that I start making sales on the other platforms. But even if you make sales on other platforms and they also ship USPS ground, you can use the supplies that you get from Poshmark. I have done that before. There's nothing on these that say that they have to be used for Poshmark. So I've had sales on eBay that I've used those too. So great supplies to have, and it doesn't really have to cost you anything. Now, let's get into some of the things that have just turned out to be my favorites. And those are all related to getting the pieces ready. Since I do primarily sell clothes, things really revolve around clothes. One of the things that I already have, and you probably do too, whoop, just dropped it, is a lint roller. I have pets, and also when I pick up things from the bins and the thrift stores, they usually need a good roll. So lint roller super important to have on hand, and it is definitely one of my favorites. My second favorite with getting the clothes ready, it might actually be a bigger favorite than the lint roller, is the steamer. The steamer I did not have, and I would say this is one of the things that was probably the investment that I made that I really feel like I didn't need to, but it's made a difference. But having a steamer and being able to really quickly and easily get the wrinkles out of clothing before taking the pictures has been a game changer for me. And because I use it just against this wall, I always have the steamer when I'm taking pictures for the listings. I immediately have this plugged in and ready to go. As I'm putting clothes up and I can see if they're wrinkled, I'm just quick steam, takes less than a minute, and it totally helps to make the pieces look great. So that was a favorite. The other favorite that I have is related to cleaning the clothes. We are technically supposed to have all of the clothes that we ship to the buyer clean. And then I would say that most of the time when you pick them up at the thrift store, they're probably clean, but they often aren't. Or they could use some sprucing up because they've kind of got that thrift smell to them. So I don't necessarily wash everything. Some things I do wash to the extent they are dirty. But in lieu of washing, I do steam, and I also use dry packets, which is basically like doing a dry cleaning in your own dryer. You can buy a packet that has these little cloths. They go in with the clothing items and they go in your dryer for about 20 minutes and they come out essentially the same as dry cleaning. So you do want to read instructions if you are ever to get something like this, but I love these. These are a favorite. The other thing that comes with these that also are favorites of mine that help, I think, make my pieces look the best before they go to the buyer is they send a stain remover stick with these. So this is essentially the same thing as like a Tide stick, but it comes with this package, which is really nice. And I use these all the time to get out little stains that may be on the different clothing pieces that I'm selling, and it works really good. And the third thing that comes in the package with those is this odor and wrinkle release. So these are really great, or this is really great for, again, if it's the piece has like that, you could tell it's been washed, but it's been at the thrift store or it's been through the bins and it just needs a little sprucing. This helps with that. This is a wrinkle release as well. So you can spray it on that and then you can smooth it, and it really helps to get the wrinkles out. So those are my other final favorites. I have a ton of other supplies that I use as well, like things that I've really built up over time, like a scale and a printer. But those are things I did not need to begin with. The things that I'm sharing today are the things that I really feel are important to have. But the last thing I will share is the thing that, yeah, it's nice to have, but it's one of the things that I spent probably the most money on, and I absolutely didn't have to. And that is this mannequin. So this mannequin, I do take a lot of pictures on, particularly with dresses, but you don't need it. The wall works great. The floor works great. I would say this again, now that I have it, it's nice to have, but totally unnecessary. So that's the thing I probably spent the most money on that I really didn't need. The second thing is studio lights. Daylight, if you have it, is really great. If you don't have the option for that, studio lights that you can get pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking, on like an Amazon or someplace like that. But it's the other thing I didn't really need. So, in summary, the things that I did need: my phone, a tape measure, a wall and a hanger. It really has been my go to every single day of my reselling. And I didn't need anything beyond that. That's it. That's what I have. And I would love to hear from you in the comments too. What are your go to supplies? What are some of the favorite things? What are the things that you feel like I didn't need it, but I really can't live without it now? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So if you have made it this far, thanks for watching my video. I appreciate you so much. And if you like this video, please give me a like. If you are interested in seeing more of my content, I'd love to have you back. So please subscribe. I do at least 2 videos a week. I do a weekly sourced and sold every Tuesday to share what I sold the previous week and some of the fun things that I sourced. And on Thursdays or Fridays, I talk about other things that I'm learning while growing as a reseller, like things like supplies. I hope you come back